there's no shortage of ideas in our brain, right? We always have something else we want to try, something we want to do. That can be a little scary sometimes when you have the freedom to do 12 things. Which one is going to make the biggest impact for you, for your clients, for your bottom line? So I experienced it myself first, being stuck and then getting unstuck with the help of a coach and the difference that can make. And then just, became a coach and now get to do that every day. When maybe the money flow isn't where you want it to be, or you're not achieving those next level goals, then going back to, am I at least in alignment with why I started my business? Am I making the impact that I wanted to have with this business?
So, Mary, thank you for joining me on Success Matters podcast. The company you run is called Success Magnified. So, what a great link there is between the two of us already. Tell us a little bit more
Yes.
about what you do and what that company does.
Yes. I love the name of your podcast as well, Matters, right? Because success does matter. And I think how we define success can make a big difference in us leading a successful life. So my company is called Success Magnified, and it is a business coaching and consulting company. I work primarily with women entrepreneurs, solopreneurs up to 5 employees. So really small micro businesses, if you will, but business owners that are in the business by themselves making all the decisions, and they need a thought partner like me. That's where I come in as a business coach to really help them get those ideas out of their head into an action plan, and then help with accountability, support groups, and resources and tools to help them really clearly define what success means for their business,
Mhm.
and then magnify that success so that we can help them shine and live a life that they want to.
Okay. Yeah, I think one of the challenges that a lot of small business owners have is there's so much to do in just running the business. They forget to step out from that and take a look into it. And so that's where you help, right? That's where you bring that magnifying glass to bear on what they really want to achieve and how they're going to achieve that.
Yes, yes. I like to call myself an idea igniter because as entrepreneurs, you're an entrepreneur yourself, right? Running a podcast. And so um, there's no shortage of ideas in our brain, right? We always have something else we want to try, something we want to do, the next thing for our business. And so that can be a little scary sometimes when you have the freedom to do 12 things. Which one do you choose, right? Which one is going to make the biggest impact for you, for your clients, for your bottom line? So that's where I can come in as a business coach and really help you filter through all of those ideas and take those ideas, put them in a prioritized list, and then really pick the one or two ideas that's going to move you forward in whatever is going to make the biggest impact in your business, right? Whether that be, I need to make more money, or I need to have a bigger impact, build my audience, whatever that is to you. We go back and we say, what does success look like to you? And then let's build out this idea and make sure that we can make it successful.
That sounds very much like the sort of question that I ask people that I coach about what success means to them. So it's going to be a really great conversation here. How did you
Yeah.
come to be a business coach?
Yes. It's kind of, I was a client first, right? So I was a client first before I became a coach. I had always worked in the corporate world in marketing and communication and operations. And for 10 years, I ran a law firm. I'm in Colorado, in the US. And um, after 10 years, I knew it was time for me to move on. And I had a friend encourage me to start my own business. And it had never really occurred to me to be a business owner. So I started doing some research. What kind of business would I have? And I started a virtual assistant company in 2013. And within about 6 months, I was at capacity. I couldn't take on another client myself, right? And even though I'd worked in marketing and operations before for corporations and then done all that work, when it's your own business, it's harder to see the path forward,
Hmm.
right? So I needed outside eyes on my business to help me figure out what my next steps were. And so I hired a business coach. I joined peer advisory board. I started taking some workshops and courses. And within about 6 months, I had completely changed the way I was running my business, hiring my first contractors, being able to expand, continuing to take on more clients without me having to do all the work, right? And putting in systems in place. And that was such a transformative episode for me, right? The period of time. I fell in love with coaching. And my coach said, you are coaching your clients. You're just calling it virtual assistant work. You're actually already coaching them in what you're doing with them. So I got certified to become a business coach in 2015 and started my company in 2015. So it's 10 years old already this fall. Um, and I just love the coaching process. I really do love helping entrepreneurs get clear about what they want, help them put an action plan together, and then help them implement that action plan and help them stay accountable to that. So I experienced it myself first, being stuck and then getting unstuck with the help of a coach and the difference that can make, and then just, became a coach and now get to do that every day, which I'm so delighted.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, when you set up that VA business, were you being the VA, or did you have a team of people doing that VA role?
Yeah, at the beginning, it was just me in the business. So I was getting the clients, doing all the work for the clients, going out marketing myself, building the network, doing all the roles that you do as a solopreneur. And, there is only so much you can do in your business, and there's only so many hours in the day. And I found I was working harder and longer hours as a business owner, which I thought I was going to have all this time freedom, as most business owners think when they leave the corporate world. Um, and I was working way more for, multiple bosses now instead of one boss. I didn't have benefits. So, I was like, what did I just do? So
Right.
there was it's great to have clients and be getting clients, but at the same time, there's so much to figure out when you're running your own business and you don't know what you don't know, right? I had never run my own business before. So there's just so much to learn. And so then, like I said, after I hired a coach, then they started working with me on shifting my business model so I could bring in other contractors, other virtual assistants to be able to continue to take on new clients and, continue to expand my reach in the business and that kind of thing and build my team. So that was, so many lessons learned in running that first business, that I still carry through to this day and share with my clients, my current clients in the business coaching world.
No, absolutely. That's brilliant. So, you were saying as well when we were just starting preparing for this that you've also written a book called Vitamin C3.
Yes, yes, Vitamin C3 for Business. So it's a really fun book. It's not recent. It was written in 2017, but it's still relevant. I still talk about it quite a bit. But it's 52 ideas to connect, contribute, and celebrate your way to success.
Right.
Those three words, connect, contribute, and celebrate, are so vital to me as how I show up as a person in my life. No matter as a business person or a mom or a wife or whatever, right? So um, I really help my clients when they see that first word connect. A lot of people think, oh, I have to build the connections, I have to build my network, which, yes, there are tips in there on how to build your network. But for me, the first step is to really connect to why are you in business in the first place, right? Many people leave the corporate world and they're like, oh, I have this skill or I have this passion for something. I'm going to jump in and start a business around that, right? Which that's great because we all need those whys to pull us through the mundane of running a business. But at the same time, we also have to really be connected and reconnect to that why,
Yeah.
especially after we've run our business for a while. It's easy to kind of get just pulled down into the weeds of running your business and you get on this treadmill and kind of get in this rut. So reconnecting to why am I even doing this every day, right? And if you can still connect to that, then you have a better chance of success.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon Sinek talks about why, right? And getting
Yes.
to that real nub of why you do it, it makes it so much better as well when you're facing, because let's face it, every business has this ebb and flow, it has its ups and downs. And when you're in
Hmm.
those downs and you connect to that why, it makes it so much easier to deal with than if it's just the kind of the what I'm doing rather, or the how I'm doing it.
Yes, yes. And in fact, I run peer advisor boards for entrepreneurs, which are small mastermind groups, right? So I've been doing those for 9 years now. And in our group last week, we had someone talk about, her income is down a little bit in her business. And she's like wondering, she asked the group, how do I not identify my success with the number that's coming in my bank account, right? And so that's when we go back and we look at this why. Like, why did you start the business in the first place? Are you having the impact with your clients that you want to have? right? And yes, we want to achieve certain monetary goals within our business, but at the same time, we don't want that to be the only way we're determining success, right? So really tying yourself, being connected to that can help you when maybe the money flow isn't where you want it to be, or you're not achieving those next level goals. Then going back to, am I at least in alignment with why I started my business?
Mhm.
Am I making the impact that I wanted to have with this business? Right. And then that can help you. And then we talked about starting, a me file. So celebrate yourself. I'm all about celebrate is one of the C words, right? So I'm always asking people how they're celebrating in their business. And so anytime you get a thank you card from a client, or a positive review, or a Google review, or testimonial, or something like that, capture those in one place so that when you are having those struggles and you're like wondering, am I successful? Am I having the impact I want? Then you can go back and read those testimonials and understand the impact that you are having with your business. And it's really important to do. It seems like a trivial thing to do, but I have a box of cards that I've gotten from clients as thank yous, and printed off some emails and some testimonials and things like that. And every once in a while I go back through and just read those. It's like, yes, I am doing what I love and I'm having an impact on people's lives and their businesses. So yes, I'm successful no matter
Yeah.
what the bank account says,
That
right?
that little celebration box is so important, and quite often, like, I'll speak to some of my coaching clients, and we'll talk about journaling, and it's like, well, what do I do? And I often say, just the fact that you've got a seat on the train in the morning rather than having to stand on your journey, that's a success. Write that down, because,
Yes.
go through your journal in 3 months, 6 months' time, and all these positive things will really help to refresh you and, really build you up. So anything small any small win is always a win towards what you're looking to achieve. So, um, what you've been on a bit of a journey, right? You've kind of like were a lawyer, set up your own firm. Now you're doing this coaching. How has what success means changed for you?
Yes. Just to clarify, I wasn't a lawyer. I
Oh, sorry.
ran a law firm. So I did everything that
Okay.
was non-legal in the firm.
Right.
I went through me, but I did not ever practice law. Um, but yes, starting and running two businesses simultaneously for the last 10 years, and then selling off a portion of that business and closing the first business down last year, adding in the Leap for Ladies community. Um, when Gift of Time, my first business, turned 10, I really took a day and did some journaling and reflected on how much I had learned and how much I had changed as a human being, and the things I'd grown into doing, and even looking at what COVID did for my business.
Mhm.
So before, I'm in Colorado, and so I used to meet with my clients live, and coaching clients had to come to my office to do coaching, right? And then when COVID hit and everything went on Zoom, I now have clients all across the United States and up into Canada. So, that was able to allow me to expand who I can reach and how I can reach them and how we can communicate together. So, it's just amazing when you stop to look around and say, okay, the day I left my W-2 job at the law firm, right, to where I am now, and now I have my own podcast and I have clients around the country, and I get to have amazing conversations with really incredible people all the time. It's such a blessing. It's just such a fun thing to do. And
Mhm.
I think for many entrepreneurs, we get so forward focused, we forget to stop and look back and reflect on where we have come. And to look at the measurement of success, right? I have a mission and vision statement, which I think every entrepreneur, even if you're a solopreneur, should spend some time like, what is my mission? What's again going back to that why? Why am I even doing this business? And when I look at that, really it's shifted over the years, but really being able to have an impact on an entrepreneur's business and helping them to achieve success in what success looks like for that person, right? So not my definition of success, not society's definition of success. You have to have this much in your bank account or drive this car or whatever that is, right? But helping them define by their own values, what does success look like to you? For me, my values are freedom, creativity, fun, flexibility, right? And community. So those are my top values. They're written over here. Excuse me. So if I'm in alignment with those values, then that's success for me, right? Money is great and money will be great. I love money. I love having money come in, but it doesn't, those top 5 values are what define success for me, not my bank account, right? So helping my clients be able to come to that understanding of what success looks like to them, then that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, that part about values I think is really important as well, because if your values aren't aligned, then no matter how much money you make, right, it's not going to
Right.
satisfy you. So being grounded in certain values, which I think to your why as well, right? That's all, it kind of all comes together very nicely here, the connected,
Yes.
the celebration and the like. Um, so I have a tradition in my podcast where it's borrowed from another very famous podcast, which I asked a previous guest for a question for my next guest. So my
Oh,
previous
fun.
guest asked me to ask you, we all talk about superpowers, but what's your kryptonite?
Oh, my kryptonite.
Mm,
Hmm. That is a great question. I love that tradition too of passing on the next question.
yeah.
Um, hmm. I would say too much time, right? I like to have free time because I like to have freedom and creativity are 2 of my top values, right? But if I have too much open space, then I either shut down because I have too much, I don't know how to, fill that, or I fill it too full. So, probably too much open space is
Right.
my kryptonite. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's a lot of people who they've got a day off or whatever, and they've got these plans in their mind, but either they don't know where to begin, or they just end up spending all day scrolling social media. I think, where did my time
Right.
go? Instead of actually
Yeah.
keeping, I'm
Yeah.
kind of reflecting a little bit on myself there. So, there's all kind of reflection. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so Mary, do you have a question for my next guest?
Um, let's see. I would say since we've been talking about, the connection piece. So asking yourself, what or how does your business connect with your why? So if you're, I'm assuming you're talking to mostly business owners, right? So how does that, how does your business connect to your why?
How does your business currency or why? Okay, that's cool. I shall ask my next guest that, and I'll be interested to see what their answer is. And you've
Yes.
already described, as we've been talking, how your business connects to your why. So that's really great. If people want to get in touch with you, Mary, or to find out more about the service you offer, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, the best way is to just go to my website. It's www.successmagnified.com. And there's a big orange button in the upper right hand corner that says Get Started. They can download free resources. There's business checklists, other podcasts that I've been on, information about the Leap for Ladies page. They can book a call and talk to me about their business coaching needs if they need to. And then we have an events page on the website as well with all of our upcoming events. So if you want to come and check us out at any of the events coming up, they can find that all on the website, successmagnified.com.
Success Magnified, not to be confused with Success Matters, but the two are kind
Right.
of
So
linked well.
close. Yes.
So yes, indeed. So Mary, thank you very much for joining me on Success Matters. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and yeah, you've soldiered through a cough as well. So
Yes.
thank you very
Yes.
much for that.
Thank you, Sanjay. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.
To find your success, contact me at info@successmatterscoaching.com. That's info@successmatterscoaching.com.